Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cult Bar. How are it, everybody? How you doing, Renee?
Doing great.
Same. So, yeah, let's start doing the show, I guess. I was like, I realized that I had rebooted my machine before and didn't save my notes. So, but I recovered them, so I'm good.
Oh, good.
So,
I took on your role for this one. I took 4 pages of notes.
I took about the same. So,
Okay, good.
yeah, just before we start, I would like to say that I started watching this. I had to split it up because there was just so much crazy fucking shit going on that I was like, I need to step away. That is just a lot. I need to process.
This is my second time watching it, and as I was telling you, like I've seen other documentaries. I know a fair amount. I feel like it took me an entire day to watch this because I had to keep like stopping it to write things down or rewinding it to make sure I heard things right. Because like I had forgotten things. We'll get there, but the stuff that they get into is so absolutely out there and wild. You're like, oh, of course. How could I have forgotten about the 3D movies? But I did. You'll know what that means in a minute if you haven't seen the documentary yet. But we'll get
there. Yeah. So before we start getting into that, Renee, what are you having for a beverage this evening?
I am having a non-alcoholic beer, a near beer, if you will. I had a long tattoo appointment today, so I don't want to go floppy. Yeah. It's a Biro. It's in collaboration with, can you see that? With Happy, Robert Downey Jr.'s coffee company. I tried the coffee version of this collaboration. It was just okay. I don't know about beer flavored coffee, but I do really like coffee flavored beer. So we're going to try it. I think this might be the first time I've ever had a near beer ever.
On the show?
It's definitely the first time on the show, but I think it might be the first time I've ever had a near beer ever in my life.
Really? I have like 4 of them in my fridge right behind me.
Sorry, my ice pack for my new tattoo slid down while I was trying to open the beer. So that's a little healing tip for you. If you get a lot of color packed in on a tattoo, you ice it that first day, it heals a lot faster.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know that, but all right. So let's hear how this is. I'm curious because I've had their Pilsner and their Golden Ale, but never this.
It's pretty good. It's not the best coffee draught I've ever had. It smells nice, tastes good.
Yeah, and Biro is made by Tom Holland, and you have Robert Downey.
Yeah, so it's your Spider-Man, Iron Man coffee.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can find that because while I was not super impressed with the other ones, with the Golden Ale and the Pilsner, those are very straightforward recipes, and I'm a bit of a snob about those kind of beers because they should taste a certain way because they're very straightforward beers. But I'd be curious to see how that is. I'm not sure I want to try the beer flavored coffee.
It was kind of weird. I think I should have drank it black. I think that was my problem, is I put milk in it.
I drink coffee with milk and sugar, so I'm not sure I could drink it straight black either. So
yeah, I think this would be better poured into a glass. Also, I didn't do that. I didn't bring a glass. So
yeah, that's okay. I will not shame you for that for now.
It's pretty hoppy for a coffee draft, but it's good. It's interesting, but not in a bad way.
Yeah. It's interesting that it's hoppy because usually with the draughts, they're supposed to be stout draught, but
it's not super. I don't know how to explain it. It's not like,
is it just a little hops?
But it's like it's got a very generic beer taste in it that you don't usually get in drought.
Okay.
It's not heavy. It's not like in your face. It's its own thing, but it's not bad.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad that it's not bad. So not bad sometimes can be fine. So yeah, I have my own creation, just for the record, because I sometimes on the show go for cocktails and I'm just like, I'm not sure how I'm going to finish it because it's a little rough. But what I did was I picked up some, I've had Empress gin before. This, of course, the light's going to make it hard to see, but this is Empress gin. Usually it's purple. because that has pea flower in it. This is actually elderflower. So the reason I did that one is because it's elderflower and it's Empress. So I got 2 E's. I'm gonna make it an E-meter cocktail.
See what you did there.
Tonic, just straight up tonic water. Usually I make gin and tonics. I use lime tonic. This is just straight tonic, since with the other flavors, I figured that might be a little much. We're going to see how this is. You can almost see it through the blue glass, how like kind of rose colored it is.
Mm.
Ooh, that smells very ginny and like botanical ginny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pretty good. I think it actually would be better with the lime tonic, but
Go figure.
I love lime tonics in my gin and tonics, because then it's like tonic, a lime tonic, and then it's gin, lime tonic, and then I put lime slices in it as well, because I like lime. But anyway, that's pretty tasty, much better than a lot of the cocktails I've had on this show, which might not be saying a lot out of that, but
we've both had some pretty big misses, I think.
So and it's a lot of things where it has like these weird ingredients that I never use, like blue curacao, and you use like green chartreuse, and I'm like, those are really specific flavors that
I couldn't find green chartreuse, so I've actually been using yellow chartreuse in recipes that call for green chartreuse. I don't know if they taste any different, and I probably never will, because I'm not going to go out and buy a bottle of green, because I've never even seen anything that calls for yellow chartreuse.
Yeah, I probably could find it, but like, yeah, I'm not gonna. If you have yellow, I'd be like, man, good enough. Like, I would be doing the same thing. So
yellow chartreuse with a drop of green food coloring.
Yeah, just put some green in it, then you got it. Well, will it go weird because it's yellow? I don't know. Yeah. Add blue. Maybe blue and yellow make green, right? Or am I forgetting my color mixes from kids?
Well, if you just put green into yellow, you get like a lighter green.
Okay. All right. So I'm glad we went on that journey together.
I'm an artist.
Yeah. All right. So before we start the show, well, we started it, but before we actually get into the documentary, let's have a little news. All right. So, Renee, take it away. I know, a nice ad for the video, because I paused the video because it was doing that. But
so basically what we're seeing right now is the aftermath of a cult that's been kind of busted up, which is interesting. We don't get to see that all the time. Mm-hmm. What's happening in the small community in Utah where Warren Jeffs was apprehended, and most of the FLDS cult has sort of disintegrated. People are coming back into the world, sort of. They're still in their community. They're recovering from the trauma. They're trying to rebuild. And one of the things they weren't particularly worried about was vaccinations, even though when Warren Jeffs took over, he was the one that started to push them away from vaccinations and making vaccinations seem evil. They had this complication where with COVID and all of that, like misinformation around COVID vaccinations and all of that, it shied people away. There was a lot of mistrust of the government in this community even before Warren Jeffs was around. So they really bought into that. And unfortunately, what happened is there is a massive measles outbreak in the community as a result. One of the nice things that we do see is that they see the consequence of not having measles vaccinations. And you see actually a lot of people in this community going ahead and getting measles vaccinations. It's not by any means universal. There's a long way to go as far as getting everybody on board with vaccinations, just like there's a long way to go with every other thing that they need to rebuild on and heal from and move forward with in these communities, unfortunately. But I thought it was sort of interesting for us to look at something where there's a lot of these things we see what happens in the immediate aftermath, who goes to jail, who dies, who whatever, but we don't see these like ripple effects that are happening years after the fact, where you don't think like, oh, I was in a cult and therefore several years later my kid has measles.
Yeah.
And fair enough with everything that these people have going on to think, well, I don't need to rush to the doctor and get a vaccination right this second. I can kind of understand that. So it's interesting. Unfortunate that they had the outbreak. Heartening. I think they're moving toward pro-vaccination in that area as a result, though.
Yeah, this is a great line. I had an ideal childhood, she said. I was guaranteed a spanking or a meal from any mom in town because we were raised like a village. That sounds great.
Well, and she's talking about before Warren Jeffs took over.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah. So, but anyway.
Yeah, anyway, so if they're getting people to get vaccinated now, that's great. Good news. But yeah, that's sucks that people got measles because that's a preventable fucking disease. But
super easy, yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So okay. So
all right. Well, here come the fucking trigger warnings. Buckle up.
Yep. Buckle up, Buttercup, because here it comes.
I'm probably going to miss some. Spiritual abuse and control, of course. Coercive control, abusive relationships, black magic, slave labor, child neglect and abuse, spousal abuse, physical assault. Did we have sexual assault? I don't think we did.
They did not mention it.
There is some stuff. There is some sexual stuff that's a little weird that we'll just kind of glance over very briefly. Just in the background part of the story. The child neglect stuff is pretty bad.
That's rough. Yes.
Slave labor stuff is pretty bad. Really, the coercive control and assault and battery is the worst of it. We also have stalking and relentless harassment that's going to be talked about. And I know these are things that when they happen, they are very, very hard to do anything about. And so I know people actually deal with a lot of trauma around it. So as always, if we start talking about something and you start feeling really shitty, turn it off and go do something that doesn't make you feel shitty, because we don't do this live stream to make people feel shitty. We do this live stream because it's something that Doug and I both are interested in. We enjoy doing it together. And hopefully people learn a little bit of empathy or learn something about the way cults work or the way that coercive relationships work. It's not worth feeling shitty about. It really isn't.
Yeah. Agreed. So, all right. So trying to get your head around where to even start. I mean, they dive in a bit, but I guess, I mean, we really needed to start back with L. Ron Hubbard, who's the father of the whole movement. He wrote a book called Dianetics, and he was a really prolific author. Like he's also Guinness Book of World Records for writing the most books with over 1,000, which is
right. So I think I would start earlier than that, right? So L. Ron Hubbard was a Navy veteran who was pretty fucked up by his service is what we would, and I think like there's actual evidence that he knew this about himself. He also lied about what happened during his service. So we don't actually, there's tons of evidence that the things he claimed happened in his service just didn't happen at all.
Yeah.
Lots of stolen valor. He leaves the Navy. He gets
dishonorably discharged. Didn't he get dishonorably discharged, or was he just kind of kicked out and said, don't come back?
I think it was other than honorable. I don't think it was dishonorable.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, because that's actually, I forgot to write that part down. But either way, he was not a war hero, as he told people, and a lot of the things that he said happened in his service just, they didn't happen. They didn't happen at all. He became a pulp writer, science fiction writer. He wrote a shit ton of science fiction novels, as Doug said. He got involved in black magic with Jack Parsons. If you know anything about the occult, you know Jack Parsons. He got involved in the OTO, which was a branch off of the Golden Dawn. This will become important later. They don't talk about it in the documentary, but I'm gonna talk about it later because it's something interesting that I'm surprised they missed in the documentary. OTO is a branch off of the Golden Dawn. The Golden Dawn is what happened when Aleister Crowley. The OTO is what happened when Aleister Crowley took all of the stuff that is supposed to be like secret knowledge and was like, I'm going to publish it, and you don't have to be in the secret thing to get it now. And that was the OTO. And that's why they didn't like him. And there's a lot of similarities between the OT and the OTO. Big surprise. So he did a bunch of weird black magic shit with Jack Parsons in the OTO. He stole Jack Parsons' girlfriend and boat. And that's kind of where we find ourselves, right? Because he realizes that having a boat means that you can like kind of disappear at this point in time. This is the 60s, 50s, late 50s.
Late 50s, 60s, yeah.
Being on a boat in the ocean, there's not a whole lot anybody can do.
Yeah, there was I think it's not just he realized he could kind of escape. It was also like he wasn't really kind of made to like you don't really have to adhere to laws that are part of the land that you're off of.
Well, that comes later, right?
Yeah,
okay.
but that's part of it. I would also like to mention two things before we delve into one about his service. He attacked a log thinking it was a sub.
Yes.
He ordered missiles fired on a log, which is funny. And then what got him booted out was he launched an attack on a Mexican island for some reason. They never really explained what his rationale for that was, but whatever.
And his version of both of those stories is very different, right?
Very different.
The version in Scientology is like these great, amazing adventures that he was so brave and courageous and amazing. And yeah. So
and one other thing. Jack Parsons, the occult guy, has a crater on the moon named after him because he was a rocket scientist that helped get them to the moon. So he actually has a crater of the moon named after him. And then he went home and
Parsons is a very accomplished rocket scientist. I just go buy the book Strange Angel. Don't watch the TV show. It got canceled anyway. But really go buy the book. This is fucking amazing. Like, we would not have gotten to space without Jack Parsons, but he was also a hardcore occultist. And you'll find this about a lot of people like Newton and John Dee. And yeah, it's very interesting. But Jack Parsons is a fascinating person, and he died by blowing himself up, which should surprise no one if you know anything about him. Like, really go read Strange Angel, his biography. It's fucking amazing. So he is with Jack Parsons' girlfriend. They get married, right? Yes?
Yeah, Northrop. Sarah Northrop?
Yes. And he basically tells her, like, I figured out the best way to make money is to have a religion. And he writes Dianetics, and it's a hit. And then he proceeds to be the worst husband in the world. He's terrible to her in every way you can imagine. She decides that she would like to leave him because he becomes even more awful once his book starts waning in popularity, because certain type of people cannot handle when people stop clapping.
Yep.
So he responds to this by kidnapping their baby daughter, fleeing to Cuba, putting her in the care of two intellectually disabled people who keep the baby in a cage. He calls his wife and says that not only did he murder the baby, but he chopped her up in little pieces. Then he waits a little while and calls her back and says, no, I didn't really. She's alive. She's fine. And he continues this cycle of I killed the baby. I didn't for a long time. This is like a way that he is abusing her is to basically Schrodinger's box her infant.
Yep.
Who's in Cuba, by the way.
Yep.
And we'll start to see this pattern with Elron, where whenever things aren't going his way, he just leaves. He just leaves. So he left. He took all of the money out of their joint accounts. He left her penniless without their child, like just fucking fucked her over. And now he doesn't have any money coming in because nobody wants his book anymore. And he's like, well, what if I did more with it? And it's important to remember that a lot of what was going on in the book is pretty basic trauma therapy of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it just gets weirder and weirder and crazier until when he was like sending it to the American Psychological Association, they were like, what the fuck is this?
Have you ever tried to read this book?
I haven't. I
did.
My brother and I did the deep dive on Scientology together, and we were like, man, how come we never did try to read this? Because we went through Gold Base.
Just don't. It's one of these things where you read it and it's someone who is like, I'm going to throw a really weird word you've never heard of that is an actual word, but I'm going to do that like every fifth word. And you're going to have to stop every time and look it up because you don't know what the fuck that means. And that is the entire book. And it is big. It's a thick ass book.
Of Christy Alley when she read Dianetics, going on a talk show. I don't remember which talk show. And talking about how it changed her life and going on and on and on about it. And at the time, I thought it was a diet book because Dianetics,
Dianetics,
yeah. Anyway, so that's
it is not a good read. Let's just say that.
Well, yeah.
To each their own, but like I read that I tried reading that in my 20s and I got about halfway through it. And I'm like, this is just utter nonsense. And I'm tired of having to constantly open up because this was, the internet was very much in its infancy at this point. And so if you want to look something up, that was dictionary time, baby. And
getting out the
I got tired of looking shit up. I was just like, all right, I tried. That shit sucks.
I understand that his science fiction novels are about as readable.
Okay, I never read any of his other stuff. I just tried reading Dianetics, and that was a chore.
I believe I can't remember if it was you or my brother that said this to me yesterday or the day before. It was like that he wrote more words than anybody else and didn't edit a single one.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me because he strikes me as the type that would think that every word he wrote was just brilliance.
Well, the other thing is he was paid by the word when he was writing the pulp novels, so he wouldn't take any out because you want that penny.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, he did all that, but yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted you there, but the Dianetics thing, I just had to say that.
I'm great. I'm glad that you did actually try to read it because that's something I'm always like, should I try?
Do not waste your time.
Me in front of like a whole bunch of copies of it in New York City. Oh, and if you join our Facebook group, I didn't have time to do it before the show this week, but if you join our Facebook group over the next couple of days, I'm going to drop pictures I took at Gold Base because I used to live just down the road from Gold Base, and I did go and I took a bunch of pictures. So
I'm surprised they let you.
I'll talk about that in a second because it's kind of interesting. It was an interesting little trip.
Okay.
Not like super, super crazy, but interesting. Anyway, so Dianetics is falling out of favor, but he realizes that he could turn it into a self-help course and he could get people to pay for each individual piece of this and turn it into multiple things and finance plans and this, that, and the other. And he just decided it was a religion. So he just sold it and didn't pay taxes. This is my favorite part of the story. He just decided not to pay taxes. He did not go through any
legal fight.
Yeah, he didn't do it. He didn't say this is a religion. He didn't file as a religion. He was just like, I just am a religion, therefore I don't pay taxes.
Well, they did do some kind of querying the IRS, but it feels like they didn't really try. You know what I mean?
Way later down the line, though, because
but at the beginning, no.
what ends up happening, why Sea Org exists, is that he needed to get out of the US because he had a massive fucking tax bill for not paying any taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets all these young believers on to get the boat seaworthy, and then they go out to sea and they fucking stay there because he can't come back or he'll get arrested for tax evasion.
Yep.
That's the start of Scientology in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when you join Scientology, there's a couple different approaches they take to get you in, right? And some people actually even think, like, if you look at their little logo thing, their stained glass windows, their logo, whatever, there's like a cross in it. You know, people are like, oh, it's just a church. And then we hear from people in this documentary who are like, oh, it was just like a self-help thing, or like, oh, it was going to help me get roles because I was an actor. Right. So there's all these different ways they get you in through the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to do your work, your self-help shit, your Dianetics shit. You get your free personality test is the other way to get you in. You hold on to these little cans and they ask you questions and blah, 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 blah. Right.
Hold on to these tomato cans.
At a certain point, after you've invested tens of thousands of dollars, many years of your life, you get to find out what it's really all about.
This is the best.
One of the guys in the show, let me look. I got to find it in my notes.
It was Jason Beggy. It was Jason Beggy.
No. It's I don't think it was.
Or was it was the guy with the last name Haggis, who was a director.
Yes, Haggis. He's
great last name.
Yeah, I know. Doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's a sanity test. Maybe if you believe this, they kick you out.
I know what.
And then, but on Leah Remini's show, she said something very similar when she hit that point where you get what it's really all about. She was like, maybe I'm supposed to go out there and say no. Because it's that fucking bonkers, right? It's just so out there.
You want me to explain what it is? Because I have some notes from it. Because
I took very detailed notes, but I would love for you to do it, and then I'll
I'm going to do my summation, and then you do the details that I missed. So essentially, the story says the Earth was created trillions of years ago by a galactic overlord. That the Earth, no, that's wrong. I have my notes saying the Earth was a prison planet. The Earth was not. It was another planet that was a prison planet, and I didn't write the name down. Began with a T. And basically those, what's that?
T-Gigak.
Yeah. And the galactic overlord was Xenu. And basically there was, these people Xenu said at this point it's 75 million years ago, and there's an overpopulation problem, but everything looks like the 50s.
Right.
The 1950s in our timeline. And basically Xenu would call these people and essentially like a tax audit, and then would freeze them by stabbing them with glycol in the heart, and then have them dropped in a volcano on the prison planet, and then their souls would be freed, and they became Thetans, and then Thetans would come back and go into babies.
Yes. So, but the details,
that's my quick summation, but I'm sure you have more.
Details are fucking nuts, and this is where I said, like, I had to keep pausing it and being like, I can't believe I forgot this. So, yes. So, Earth 75 million years ago, there's a planet just like ours in the 1950s. Everybody dressed like we did. The cars looked exactly like ours. The spaceships were actually space planes, and they looked like the planes of the 1950s. So fucking weird, right? What a coincidence. Because this was written in the 1950s. As Doug said, Xenu gathers there's an overpopulation problem. So this tyrannical leader is like, I got a solution. I'm just going to fucking get rid of these people. He puts them on the space planes after freezing them with glycol. I don't know why. Because if you're just going to drop them in volcanoes, I don't know why they have to be frozen. Like, fucking put them in a box, whatever. Put them in a box, put them in a bit, blah, blah, blah. Takes them to Tigigak, drop in a volcano. Then drop a hydrogen bomb into the volcano.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that part.
I don't know why.
Maybe
Like
the hydrogen is what makes the thetans come out. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
So the thetans come out, and then they make the thetans watch a 3D movie. I don't know who they are. Also, how was Xenu involved in this part too? Did he believe that this was like, did he know this was going to happen?
I feel like Xenu would have delegated that to some lesser.
But like, did he know that the dropping him in the volcano was going to make the souls come out? And then he had like this seems like there's plot holes is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, Pulp Fiction generally has a lot of plot holes. So.
Yeah. So they watch a 3D movie that's basically a lot of bad shit. No explanation why it's all bad shit. I guess just because Xenu's a bad guy. But Earth is in fact also a prison planet. And that's where they go. The thetans. These souls that have been frozen with glycol, dropped in a volcano, hydrogen bombed, and then forced to watch terrible 3D movies about bad things.
And then we don't know exactly how the thetans get back to the other prison planet to go into babies. Also, they could be not just one thetan going into a baby, could be thousands of thetans going into babies.
Because when you're born, a thetan goes in you, and that is your soul.
But they said it could be multiple.
But then what if you get 10 or millions or thousands, or we don't even know. It could be any number, because apparently this overpopulation problem was significant. Yeah. And so basically they cause all of your neuroses, your fears, your anxieties because of the 3D movies, I guess, I'm assuming. Well, and also, that's a lot of trauma you think you're going to go, I don't know if you've ever been audited. I've never been audited, but I understand it's a very stressful thing. So they're already stressed out. They think they're getting audited. They're like, oh God. And like Xenu's a huge dick. So they're like, oh, if they find something wrong, something terrible is going to happen. And then they get there and it's like, oh, surprise. It's not a tax audit. It's you're getting stabbed.
Come to this room over here.
Yeah, you're getting stabbed in the heart. So that's traumatic. And then you get dropped in a volcano. Then you get killed by a hydrogen bomb. And then you have to watch a fucking horrible movie full of bad things. So
then you have to watch a horrible movie. That's the worst thing to happen there.
It makes sense that these thetans would have a lot of neuroses and anxieties and fears. I'm just saying that part specifically makes sense.
Well, the other thing is, if let's say you have multiple thetans in you, and you have all of their traumas.
Yeah, that's a lot of trauma. And then
that's a lot of trauma.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, like I said, if you're thinking that, like you just think of it in the perspective of a soul, and you think you get multiple souls in your body, but you get all of their trauma. Yeah, that's a lot. So, but how the fuck they got back here? Who knows? Magic.
Who knows? Whatever. Well, they were shot out by the hydrogen bomb, I guess.
Pew, pew, pew. Getting volcano shooting across space.
But can you imagine that you've done all this work and all this self-improvement and you're like paying money every step of the way, because everything in Scientology costs money. Nothing is free in Scientology. And, you've raised your kids in this thing and like your life revolves around this thing. And then you get there and it's like, this is the big moment. Like I'm moving on to the next level and this is what you read. And I would say a lot of people that they talk to in these things that I've watched and read about people who've eventually left, a lot of people they talk to say like they knew this is fucking bullshit. This is insane when they read it. And they stayed for years and sometimes decades afterwards because of the disconnection policy, the control they have over their lives, the fact that they were raised in Sea Org, so they have no education, no work experience, no nothing. I mean, like, what are you going to do? If you leave all your family everybody you know. So you have no social support network.
Yep.
No education, no work history. Lots of the regular everyday Scientologists that like live out in the world and live and work out in the world, they all work for each other. So your work history is tied to Scientology as well. And they're not going to.
Yeah, they're not going to employ you.
Or any, yeah. So like, because by the time you get to the point where you get the crazy story, it's your life.
Mm-hmm.
And again, for these people, it's their life anyway because their parents joined, and you know.
And it's like it's like mostly every cult. If your system of your friends and your whole network is all around the cult, because they don't allow you, like what cults do is they isolate you from everybody else. That's part of reason why how they keep people in for so long is it's insular, so that you are just like, these are my people. And if I go out there, I have no people. I've cut myself off from everybody. So you go out and you have no means to
theoretically take a leap of faith and say, like, my mom would probably take me back. But if your mom is a Scientologist,
then you're kind of fucked.
Yeah. And we see in this documentary that happens.
Yeah.
People's own children turn against them. People's own parents turn against them. Like, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's horrible, but it absolutely happens.
Yeah, that was one of the rougher parts, was seeing one lady whose daughter was like, I have to disassociate myself from you. I can't.
And she didn't leave because she necessarily had a problem with Scientology belief system. She left because they booted her son, and she's like, well, I'm not going to abandon my son.
Yeah. And they said, you can't talk to your son anymore. And she's like, well, you can't tell me that. So kudos on her for doing that. I mean, she was like, I'm going to go with my son. And the husband did. The husband got charges or whatever you want to call against him before she did. But it's the same time. So, I mean, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. But like, that is Cult 101 is isolate and make sure all outside contacts are gone.
Even David Miscavige's own parents had to escape Scientology. They had to plot and plan to get access to the internet in the first place. Well, it was an accident that they had. This is because I've seen a lot of other stuff, so bear with me. But I believe that this was in the Leah Remini series. They were given like Kindles, and they realized that the Kindles that they had connected to the internet, and they were able to connect to the internet and see anti-Scientology shit, whatever, and then use it to arrange their escape. And they had to escape as though it was like a fucking prison escape.
Well, yeah, but that happens. Like, you've seen, like, the one lady, what was her first name again?
Spanky.
What a name.
She's my favorite, but we'll talk about her in a second too, because like that story's.
Yeah, she had to do that too, and we can go through that story in a bit, or we can do it now. What would you prefer?
Oh yeah, shit. Let's do that one now, because we could talk. We can't. I don't even think we're ever going to be able to get through everything that happens.
No, it's impossible. There's too much crazy shit just in a 2-hour documentary.
And we barely even got to what Scientology is. So okay, so Spanky Taylor is the cutest little thing you ever saw. I love her. I'm going to put her in my pocket. She was a Scientologist. I think her parents joined. Was that right? Or she joined?
I thought she joined. I don't know that her parents joined and she came in. I think she was an early demon.
She was an activist, and like she was I'm going to change the world person. And Scientology got her in on the basis of, that's what we want to do. And she immediately signed up for Sea Org with that billion-year fucking contract, which, right? And eventually, she's coming up in Scientology. She befriended John Travolta and became his personal assistant. And they were, by her telling, good friends.
Yeah. I have a thought about that, but please proceed.
Well, go ahead.
There's a part later where she was in this different group where she was basically what they call the whole, and she got pregnant there. And it's never made clear. She just said she got pregnant. She didn't say anything. Now that my first thought was, oh, that was somebody, raping her was what my thought was. But I wonder if that first kid she had was Johnny, as she called him, Johnny. We don't know. There's never there.
It's a question.
So
she doesn't say
know.
that or reply that. We'll make that clear. If you didn't,
Yeah, she made it seem like they were just very good friends, and she kind of managed a lot of his stuff, especially within the Scientology realm. And so she didn't make it seem like there's any romance involved whatsoever. She made it seem very.
What I think is really funny is John Travolta talks about, like, there's no other religion in the world that wants to do away with war and hunger and like all the stuff. And he's like, and then you take that, leave that aside. What other religion focuses on joy? And I'm like, dude, have you not heard of Buddhism?
Yeah, almost every religion has some facet of it that deals with joy. Almost everyone.
Well, yeah, but like the exact things he's saying are like the explicit tenets of Buddhism.
I know. And that was super funny to me.
No one. It's like a lot actually.
Yeah, he's not the sharpest pencil in the box in my estimation, but that's just my opinion.
So, but point being that Spanky's life, pretty much, as we said, it revolves around Scientology because she is working for them by working for John Travolta, whose career has gone stratospheric at this point. And he's like a poster boy for Scientology. And, they say, like, in Scientology, every good thing that happens to you is because of Scientology. And every bad thing that happens to you is because of you. So he got all Welcome Back Kotter because of Scientology. He got all these roles because of Scientology, obviously, right? And she says she got in trouble because she had a friend who needed medical care, and Scientology, somebody in the upper echelon, said no. And she criticized that. So they just plucked her from her daily life and put her into the Rehabilitation Project Force, which is basically a fucking prison camp. This is before they had the hole, right?
Which was on the 7th floor of the Hollywood Center, which, like on a floor in a building. So in the middle of civilization too.
They don't leave, right? No. And the reason that this is possible, despite the fact that she has a daughter, is because most Sea Org members don't get to raise their kids anyway. Their kids go off somewhere else, which, again, Cult 101. You don't want people to raise their kids because then they have a connection that is stronger than their connection to the cult. I get the sense that Spanky was raising her daughter up to this point.
That was my impression as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is why, because she is cleaning and doing all this shit, working. They say, oh, you're going to work X amount of hours, and it all sounds very reasonable. She says she's working 30 hours on, 3 hours off. They're being fed rotten table scraps. She's like exhausted.
They gave them mattresses on the roof of the building.
Yeah. And she's pregnant while this is happening. Yeah. Right. And they tell her, I want you to arrange for us to get a private screening of Saturday Night Fever. And she's like, well, how am I going to do that? Johnny is going to be pissed at me because you just yanked me out of his life. As far as he knows, I abandoned him because she was working for him. She was his personal assistant. And then she just disappears one day. Right. Because celebrities don't know about any of this shit. They have a different experience of Scientology. Right.
Yeah.
So she manages to get them to agree to get John Travolta's private film.
His own personal copy of the film.
Yes, under the condition that he gets to meet with her for lunch. Now, there's a note in the documentary that he denies that this ever happened.
Well, of course he does.
I'm just saying. Nothing that we say on this podcast, on this live stream, is meant to reflect anything other than what the documentary says. Okay. So they get to do their screening, and then they say, "You're not going to that lunch." So she calls him to tell him that, and he kind of goes off on her, and she says that she felt that he was not angry with her necessarily for canceling, but for being allowed to be, for allowing herself to be mistreated, for not standing up for herself. That's what she felt was happening. Mm-hmm. And that felt like a wake-up call to her a little bit. So she goes to see her daughter at the cadet place where the children are taken care of.
Yeah, it's a very loose term.
And I want to remind you guys, there's a trigger warning for child neglect here. This is fucking horrible. This is really fucking horrible. She goes in, all the kids are sick. Her daughter specifically, she says she was sick and neglected in a urine-soaked crib. She was so covered, her eyes were so caked in mucus that they were welded shut, and her body was covered in fruit flies. And she was just like, this is it. I'm done. Like, between these two things, it's like, I'm fucking done. Now, again, so many parents don't do that.
Yeah.
How many, to be fair, in this specific situation, how many know that it's like that? We don't know. We don't know.
We don't, because they separate them for a reason. And I'm kind of curious how she was able. I think it's just because she was John Travolta's personal assistant that she got a little more leeway than other folks.
Yeah.
That she was able to just go in and check on her kid. And I think most of the parents there would not have been allowed that. So
she finagled a way to make a phone call to call someone on John Travolta's team that wasn't a Scientologist and arrange a time to be picked up. And she made up a story about needing to see a doctor for her pregnancy, then made up a second story about this person who's picking me up is taking this baby to the doctor, like her baby that was at the cadet place. Because the whole time she's being followed around by a bodyguard.
Yep.
And the bodyguard is expecting her to put the baby in the car and go back to her punishment.
Yeah, he asked her, is this authorized? And she's like, of course it's authorized.
Right. To take the baby to the doctor. But what she does is she jumps into the car and slams the door, and this other person just takes off, speeds off, and she makes an escape. Again, there's a bodyguard. Why is there a bodyguard to take your baby to the doctor? Can't think of a good reason, right? If everybody's there voluntarily, why is there a bodyguard? Questions we have to ask ourselves.
Yeah, was it Kevin Costner? Sorry. That was a bad joke, but yeah, what a harrowing thing, because she like popped in the car and they do the dramatization.
Real quick, it's not that great as it goes on.
No, as it warms up, yeah, that's the thing, is beers, like, they change when they warm, and yeah, don't finish it if you don't like it.
That middle taste where the generic beer flavor is coming through, it's like building.
Yeah.
The more I drink it. So I only got a 4-pack of it. It's not terrible, but
I think it's one of the things you drink it and you drink it pretty fast. Like you said, it wasn't bad when it was cold.
It's like it's like 2 different beers in one drink, and I think that's the problem I'm having with it. So just FYI.
Well,
anyways.
But I think that is something that if you're not going to drink it, don't fucking drink it. If you're like me, don't do the things I do, or like make this really shitty drink, this shitty cocktail, and be like, I'm going to pound that down. So anyway,
I brought something else to drink just in case I hated it. So
yeah, well, good call. So yeah, I just wrote her down as Taylor, and I keep forgetting her first name. Spanky. She is very cute. She has a very cutesy voice too, and I think that's part of it. Is like she has a very cutesy voice. So, but she sounds like the kind of girl that would in the early times, like, this is great. Yeah, I could save the world. Like, she seems like the type of person who would have been like, that sounds awesome. Let's go do it. Like, yeah. There's some other people that are involved as far as like people who escape, but aren't like the prominent members, which we get on the second half of the documentary, where we're talking about the people who escaped are really into shit with it. Like the Hannah Whitfield person, she fascinates me because she saw the first fucking, she got to that level where she read all that nut stuff and she kept going. She was like, okay, well, and she achieved the absolute highest level. So she got to be clear.
She went clear, yeah.
And they still were making her do auditing. And she was like, why am I doing this? I'm clear. I should not be doing
Well,
this.
they told her to, like, she said that I made this note because it was very fascinating to me, is that she said, oh gosh, so many notes. Hold on.
Ooh, excuse me. The only thing I
talking about that when she was not feeling good or whatever, they kept making her do more and more auditing, and she became convinced, I can't find it, but she became convinced that there was something bad in her, and that she was so bad that she couldn't even confront it. And that was the reason that she had to keep doing the auditing, and that it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And it like literally drove her crazy. It drove her to self-loathing. And that really
depression
hit me. That really fucked me up. That she spent her life doing this, her adult life doing this, which is supposed to be bettering yourself. You know, she's one of the first people in Sea Org. She was one of the people scraping the fucking shit off the first boat. And
yeah, she was out there. I want to be on Sea Org. I want to be that person.
And she said, you know, she would have died for Elron in the beginning. And she went through all the stuff. And she was so deep in it that, and the environment and all of these things that come with being that deep in it, that the answer had to be, it couldn't be, this is bullshit. I've done everything. I've worked my ass off. I know I'm a good person. It had to be, there must be something so wrong with me that I can't even confront it. I must be so evil.
Yeah, and that's just sad.
Yeah, that really broke my heart.
Because the idea that she did all this work and she got to the level where she was considered clear, and she still like they put that doubt in her so they could keep sucking money out of her. That was the point,
right? That's the point.
So it just, and she left in 1984. She left early by the standards of all the other folks who left. Like she left really early, so she was in from the giddy up. So she started in early, and just a lot of these folks now, they look like they're kind of okay on the outside, but again, we're looking at it just based on an image that's presented on a documentary. We don't know how well they are, if they've done therapy since they've got out. Like I would hope so. Like the guy that really fascinates me is the Baggy guy, because he is just this wild card of a human being that I don't think, the actor guy who is like,
he is so high energy.
He's high energy, and he is just like operating on a plane of existence that I don't think any of us else are. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
But when you hear him talk about, like, within 4 months he was an auditor, you're like, I fucking believe it, man.
Oh, I believe it too.
The guy who has big convert energy. Like,
yes. And then I'm like, oh, I recognize that face. He's been in things I've seen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't know what it is, but now I'm gonna have to look at it. So because now my brain's gonna not be satisfied. I don't remember what he was in, but
I don't know where my brain is.
What was his name again? It was Baggy, but I can't remember. It was
Baggy.
Jason Baggy. Jason Baggy.
He was, I mean.
All right. He was in Home Alone? What? Oh, he was in Californication with David Duchovny for a few episodes.
He's in Home Alone 4.
What's that?
He was in Home Alone 4. He's in G.I. Jane. Thelma and Louise. He was in a lot of shit.
Yeah. I'm saying he's not a guy. He's one of those, that guy. Like, oh, I know that face. I don't know the fuck his name is.
So the X-Files.
Yep.
Oh, he was in the movie. He was in Fight the Future.
Fight the future. Wow.
Wow. Oh, he's in
Yeah,
so many
he's
things.
his thing is actually fairly extensive. Kind of surprising. He was in the show Brothers Keeper, which that show, that was on for one season. That was a fucked up show.
He's been in a lot of stuff I've never heard of, and a lot of stuff I've been like, whoa. He was in the sequel to Atlas Shrugged.
There was a sequel to Atlas Shrugged.
I didn't even know there was
What?
a movie to Atlas Shrugged. So fucking
There was.
whatever.
I knew that there was a. I knew there was a movie, and I was like, I am not seeing that because Ayn Rand read that, and fuck her. But like, was it? She wrote Atlas Shrugged, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not
Well,
gonna watch
anyway,
anything.
he's in a lot of shit. Cool.
Yeah, and like, I think you're right. It's just one of those things where you're just like, I know that face, but
Yeah.
could I like? There's people like that in Hollywood all over the place where I'm like, I've seen that person in 50 things, and I couldn't tell you what that person's name is. They play different characters all over the place. So yeah, but that guy gives an energy. Like I said, he feels like he just kind of exists. Like we're all kind of here just doing our thing, and he's just like, yeah, baby, just like right across the top of us.
He's definitely a guy who doesn't need drugs to get high.
No, he is high at that point all the time.
And it's funny because that was like one of the promises of Scientology back in the 70s.
Get high without drugs.
He didn't need that either. I liked him. I like that energy. And in doses, I'm not saying I want to live with the guy, but I liked it because
that would be nuts. If you had to live with a person who is doing that all the time, that is too much for me. I am
the passion he brings to this, I think, because he was kind of a rock star in the auditing scene or whatever, but he wasn't in these higher levels like Marty Rathburn and Mike Rinder. But when he got out, he went to them because they got out before him, and he was like, we're fucking doing something about this. And they were like,
yeah, they were kind of like, he went and found one of the, like, what was it? Rathburn was living in like Mexico or some shit because he was trying to stay away from all these people.
And
he did it. He pulled an Andy Dufresne. He was out in Mexico at San Juantaneo. Like, what?
I think it's like he was the secret sauce, right? And you needed somebody with that fucking let's do something. And they were like, oh, okay.
All right, man. All right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So that's Jason Peggy. And then I did say I would like to talk, I think, at length about Mike Rinder. And I think in order to talk about him at all, you have to talk about what he did.
Yes.
While he was in Scientology.
Mm-hmm. And he knows, and he talked very openly about it in the
he doesn't lie. He doesn't lie.
None of those guys like the Rathburns and all that, they own their shit. So that's one thing, they don't make excuses for it at all.
He was the head of the Office of Special Affairs. And that their job was anybody, whether it was the IRS, the FBI, or a reporter or a former member of Scientology, absolutely anybody who made Scientology look bad. Their job was to make that person, that organization, whatever, look worse. Make them miserable, shut them the fuck up. That was their job. And the things that they did, these were all things that a lot of people, if you listen, will say that these things didn't happen until David Miscavige was in charge.
Was it Miscavige or Miscavige? Because I don't, either way, he's a shithead.
Yeah, whatever.
Miscavige.
Killed his wife. That's my opinion for legal reasons.
That's my opinion as well. But yeah, we don't have any facts to like.
For legal reasons, I think if somebody hasn't been seen in fucking a decade, anyway. Or maybe she's in the hole.
Maybe the whole time. The whole time in the hole. Oh, shit.
Anyway, but what we know from Marty Rathburn and Mike Rinder, that these things were written by L. Ron himself. These are not new practices. This has always been the way. Whether or not they were used as frequently might be the question. Maybe they had to be used more after Miscavige took control because he turned the volume up on everything, right? But they wrote on, okay, sorry. A team of people, so they have these folders called PC folders, which every single auditing session is recorded, of course. Why wouldn't it be? Whether you know it or not. And when John Travolta said, "You're not recording mine," they said, "Okay, we'll do it in a hotel room." And they told the guy who was going to do it, go set up. So, it
The
was
cameras.
Becky, right? Jason Becky was the one who did it.
Yep.
Go set up the cameras and don't tell them that they're there, and go do it and don't tell them. So they have a PC folder on him too.
Which is part of the reason why when Spanky was upset that he didn't leave after he found, because she's like, I know he knows what was going on there, and I don't understand why he left. That is why he didn't leave.
Yeah,
they had the goods on him, because Tom DeVoe said that him and Miscavige would have scotch, and it was always scotch. How dare they to defame scotch? Fuck you. And he would talk about how Travolta had sexual deviance and all these different sexual things.
Well, the other thing that you will find if you get deeper into this stuff is that a lot of people felt like it was like coerced confession as well. That when you get to a point where you feel like you're out of things, that they'll just have you admitting things that you didn't do. You don't think, you don't feel, whatever. They just keep going. And so these PC folders end up having things on you that you didn't really
do.
Yeah.
Can I just say that that happened to one of my kids, because when they were young, they were in Catholicism because my ex-wife's family was very Catholic. And one of the things he had to do was go up in front of the church and confess sins at like 8 years old. And he was like, I was just making stuff up because I didn't know what the fuck to say. And then he started crying because he was like, I didn't know what to say. And I was like, buddy, do not sweat that. Just, I get it. That was traumatic. It's okay. You're fine. You're a good person. You know, but like they do that in other places too. And yeah, fuck
right. Like in these sessions, though, they will lead you to it, right? Because you have to have something at the end of it, especially in cases like with John Travolta. Miscavige wanted a daily report on, I'm sorry, that was Tom Cruise. He wanted a daily report on Tom Cruise.
I'm sure he wanted on. He's sure he wanted on John Travolta too, but like
probably, you know. So if you want a daily report, well, you're gonna have something to report on. So you're gonna push, right?
Or you're gonna make up shit. Or you're gonna make up shit if he didn't say anything.
So then you have these folders on everybody, everything they've ever said in an auditing session, whether it's true or not, and you know what you said, right? They take this to the Office of Special Affairs, and they have a whole team of people who go through every single one of your PC folders, and they find every single thing in there that you would be ashamed for people to know. Anything that would humiliate you, anything that would shame you, anything that would turn people against you, and they create what is called a black PR package on you, and they would use that via training written by L. Ron Hubbard to use that information to control people into doing what you want or to silence them, shut them the fuck up. And they were taught that it's not blackmail, it's not wrong, because you're helping Scientology. If you were doing this just to do it, if you're doing it for your own benefit, it would be wrong.
They said if you're not doing it for money, then it's not blackmail.
Right.
That was the part that he threw in there. I'm like,
you're doing it
no blackmail.
To help Scientology, and Scientology is trying to save the world, and therefore it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that you hear, like, it's not lying if you're lying for Scientology. It's not blackmail if you're blackmailing for Scientology. You hear this stuff come up a lot. And people do convince themselves of a lot of crazy shit when they're in cults. People convince themselves of a lot of crazy shit when they're not in cults. So think about it, right?
That is very for the greater good kind of mindset. We see that we see this a lot with someone like Mike Johnson, who is the Speaker of the House, and he lies incessantly. And I said to a friend of mine who's a pastor, I'm like, hey, isn't lying a sin? And he's like, yeah, that motherfucker lies all the time. It's so people do it if they think the ends justify the means. that's that cults do that too. You know, a lot of people do, like, not even just necessarily in religious things. Sometimes people just do, they think it's the ends justify the means. Well, I'm doing this and it sucks for those people, but my people are going to be fine because I'm doing that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And they did that. They would go through, make these black PR packages. And most of the time they just had to let people know they had them. Right.
Yep. I'm sure that's what happened with Travolta. Again, my opinion, I have no evidence to back that up. It just feels very much like they did that, and that's why he stayed.
Or just like, I know that they know what I said. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I know that they know.
And the idea that you're required to bare your soul, you're required. That's a requirement of Scientology. You need to, in order to be clear, you need to unburden yourself. And that means unburden yourself from everything. So you're going to tell every little fucking shitty, goofy thing you did, from whether you stole bubble gum from some dime store or whatever. And granted, I sound like a fucking boomer when I say it that way, but you know what I mean? It's just more like if you just did the tiniest stupid infraction that most people have done, they're going to kind of be like, well, hey, I'm going to do this. When you were 15, you did this. You drove a car illegally. Well, you know what? I grew up in fucking super rural PA. You know how many people drove cars when they were like fucking 12? Where I grew up, and that was just common practice because those kids were driving tractors when they were 8. Like,
well, it's also like, you know, what I tell my kid all the time is like, you're a teenager and your brain development and whatever, like it's your job.
They don't want to hear that though.
Yeah, but it's like, it's your job to make stupid choices, and it's my job to make sure that the stupid choices you make are regular stupid choices and not life-altering stupid choices. Yeah, because you're going to make stupid choices. It's not, there's no way around it. It's going to happen. Yep. Right. So if you get somebody, a young adult, which John Travolta was when he was doing these, he was a young adult, and you're like, tell me everything. Tell me absolutely everything. Tell me every bad thought you've ever had. Tell me you're 18, 19 years old. You remember all of the stupid choices, every bad thought, all of it from when you were a teenager. That's fucked, man. Nobody deserves to go through that, let alone to be like, and I think they kept a record of it.
Yep.
So this is what they do. And they did this not just with individuals. They did this with the FBI. They did this with the IRS. They would send people in, and they said they had a program. When they were going to war with the IRS to get their tax exempt status, they would send people undercover to these conferences to go sit at the bar and add up how much they were spending on their drinks so they could publish that and say, hey, the taxpayers spent X amount of dollars on drinks for the IRS.
And the guy was like, I remember it was, I can't remember which one it was. But he was like, in the grand scheme, it was pittance what they were spending. But if you could put some doubt in being like, well, they spent, $10,000. $10,000 to a giant organization is nothing. But to you and I, $10,000 is a fuck ton of money. So
yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, yeah, that's.
They were also looking. They were also looking for any crimes that they could find, any violation, like any fucking thing, and then they would go and find things against individual agents, anything, and they would harass these people. They would fall. I mean, it was intense. And if it were, let's say, a news reporter, let's harass that news reporter. Let's make his life miserable. Whatever, who cares? And this is something that Mike Rinder did not just say, delegate, you go do it, you go do it, you go do it. He did it personally. He was the spokesperson and was often the person doing these things physically himself. Now we get to a point, David Miscavige hits a point just like Elron did before he, what do they call it? Exteriorized. Because he jumped.
Yeah, no, he had a stroke and he just kind of left his body and it's all good.
He exteriorized. So anyway,
Also, can I just say, when Miscavige announced that at that whatever conference thing he was doing, and the people were starting to get the idea that L. Ron was no longer alive, and
Yeah.
they were like, oh, "No!" Oh, and you could hear it in the audience, and he's like, "It's okay, don't be sad because he didn't
He's not
suffer, and now he's doing his journey elsewhere."
dead. It's
L.
so
Ron
funny.
Hubbard was so fucking selfish that there was no way that he was like, "This is great, I'm going to go on my journey." That was not what he thought. He's like, "Fuck, I'm dying."
He's like, now that fucking little shit David is gonna take over all.
And he didn't leave any plan of succession. That's the other thing we should mark, is that, and this happens a lot in cults where like the leader's like, I'm here and I just don't envision anything where I'm going to die, so I'm not going to lay any plans or things keep continuing.
Well, and I think
we're seeing,
they don't give a shit what happens after they die. They think it's all going to go away after they die.
well, that we're looking at that when we look at our federal government right now. The leader is doesn't know succession plan. The succession plan is JD Vance, who has the personality of a wet paper towel. So like, what's that?
Or Stephen Miller,
who is worse? He has less of a personality than a wet paper towel. So
yeah,
it's just, but you're seeing this like, and he just had no plan of succession. So David Miscavige, who was incredibly ambitious and saw an opportunity to seize control and power, and because that's what
they just
that's
did.
what he
Yeah,
wanted.
did.
So he just went in and said, "That's me," and just went in, and just nobody challenged him. It seems like nobody challenged him.
Well, he was L. Ron's golden boy for a very long time.
Yeah, there's that. One of the things that was funny was like, I saw this one thing where they were talking about the Sea Organ. I think it was Hannah Whitfield was talking about, we're on these cruises and we're sitting with L. Ron Hubbard. This is like the guy, the architect, and he's up there telling tales and smoking cigarettes. And I'm just like, why was that part of the tale? Like, okay, so he smoked, like billions of people smoke. That shouldn't have been part of the tale.
So, right, is if you see somebody, like if you're like, somebody's so amazing and like above it all and so cool, and you're like, oh my God, he's just sitting there smoking a cigarette like a normal person. And it's like, yeah, he's just a normal
okay,
person.
Yeah.
To us, that's like, yeah, he is just a normal person. He's just a bigger asshole than most of them. But to her,
the other two,
like,
yeah. I wonder how much he smoked, because his lower bottom teeth were so fucking brown. Like in the videos, I was just like, Jesus, dude, you must have been smoking 3 packs a day, because holy fucking shit, dude.
maybe
Listen, I know you're a former smoker and you've been not smoking for quite a long time. But like, if you get to the point where your teeth are browning from smoking, you are smoking entirely too much.
He might have also had scurvy from all this time.
He didn't have enough orange juice. Oh, who lives in a pineapple in the sea?
L. Ron. Anyway, okay.
L. Ron Hubbard. Okay, sorry. That might get us banned on YouTube, but I don't give a shit. That was funny.
This is what happens when I don't drink.
I want to have you on when you're high. That's what I want to have one time.
Oh, I don't think you want that.
Oh, I do. Very much.
It's just like a lot of me losing my train of thought and getting sleepy.
Look at us. We just talked about Patchy the Pirate from SpongeBob. I don't think it's going to be a problem if we go off topic. It'll be fine.
But the point being that David Miscavige got super paranoid and super worried about his place in things. And I think maybe even worried, to me, it seems like, they didn't say this, but it seems like he was worried that Marty Rathburn, Mike Rinder, these guys had too much influence in his mind. Whether that's true or not, that's maybe what David Miscavige thought. So he decided that he needed to fucking rein them in, train them better.
Assert dominance.
Assert dominance. So he moved them into these 2 double wide trailers in Hemet, California, right by where I live. This is where I went and drove by. I'm going to post these pictures. Threw them in there. They were in there for 2 fucking years, by the way.
Yeah.
That's the total. Coming out to do TV appearances, coming out to make statements, coming out to whatever. But they lived there. And these fucking blacked out, double wide trailers for 2 fucking years. They were not being fed enough. They were not seeing daylight. They were being played mind games, crazy fucking shit. And he would say, you need to find out what this other person did to me.
Yeah,
I
that whole
know
thing.
that he did something to me. You find out what it is. And they weren't allowed to leave until they found out what it was. And so, of course, it's they're beating the shit out of each other. They're arguing with each other. They're whatever until somebody admits to something that probably didn't even fucking happen.
Yeah.
Right?
That whole thing with the musical chairs thing, that was fucked up.
Why don't you tell that story? Because I was getting to that, but this is nuts.
So basically they're in these double wide trailers. They have one point of exit. I don't even know if they have a toilet in there. I don't know if they made that. They don't. I don't think they explicitly said that. So basically, they were just fucking little mattresses on the floor, and that's where you slept. And it was like not just one or two. This was like a lot of people. Like
everybody in the higher echelon, basically. All of the men in the higher echelon.
So the Sea Org, he wanted to, like Miscavige, whatever the fuck his name is, wanted to kind of disband the Sea Org because he saw that as some folks who could maybe have some leverage on him, and he didn't like that idea. So he put all of them and a lot of the senior leadership in the hole in this fucking double wide trailer thing. And he comes in one day and he says, "We're going to play a game. We're going to play musical chairs." And apparently musical chairs was basically this kind of lingo in their group, meaning like whoever was the last one was getting booed out, except he did the opposite. And he said, one person stays and everybody else goes. So he started playing, what was the Queen song?
I forgot. And it was, nothing really matters was the
nothing is a phrase he kept harping on.
Yeah.
So he stopped the song and people just started fucking it was Bohemian Rhapsody with Nothing Really Matters. And the people started beating the shit out of each other, ripping the chairs apart and just fucking each other up. And he just was watching this and then finally goes, "Yeah, it's okay. Everybody's going to stay." And that's the kind of fucking mind games that motherfucker plays. Everybody's terrified to be disassociated.
I thought it was really interesting. I think it was Mike Render who said, like, we were fighting to stay. And you see like this disbelief, like in retrospective, like, can you believe that we were fighting to stay? I can't believe it. Like, you know, that's
like we were fighting to stay in the hole. Like,
and it is so crazy, but that's where they were. And this is their whole life. This is their job. This is their livelihood. Their wives and kids are involved. Mm-hmm. And he comes out of the hole, Mike Render does, to go not be interviewed, I guess, but
it is kind of an interview, but
like kind of make an appearance, confront whatever this guy who's doing a thing for the BBC about Scientology that is negative, because everything that isn't pro Scientology is negative. There's not really neutral Scientology stuff, right?
Right.
And the guy says, there's all these allegations of abuse. And he's like, that David Miscavige is abusing people. And he's like, Mike says, like, no, there isn't. That's not happening. And he says, there's allegations that he's abusing you, that he's physically assaulted you. And he says, no, that's never happened. That's a lie, blah, blah, blah. Like, and then, he gets on a plane, he flies back to California. He goes right back to it. And he's getting smacked in the face, punched in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And through these mind games, he lived there for 2 years. He lived there. And that's not why he left. That is what super like trips me out.
Yeah.
That's not why he left.
Well, what's interesting about him too is the idea that when he did leave, all of his family stayed except for him. And he was the most senior person next to Miscavige.
Yeah.
He was the guy.
He was the public face.
Yeah. He was the public face. And, the other guys were, Fuck, what's the other guy's name?
Marty
Marty.
And Tony.
Marty Rathburn. Tony DeRott. Tom DeRott. And those were the guys that were like, these are the henchmen. I would call them henchmen for what they did, because they carried out the wrath of Miscavige, however it was dealt. And I felt super bad for Rathburn, because like he got out and he somehow made a little life for himself and married someone who was
like a woman who'd never been involved with Scientology. And
yeah. And the idea that he said, and I'm jumping a bit here, but that Scientologists had this thing like hunting beavers or hunting squirrels, because he called people who left squirrels. And the idea that they harassed his family for 5 fucking years. They lived across the street and filmed him nonstop. And
and specifically his wife on purpose. And it only ended because she sued David Miscavige personally.
Yeah, because that was a brilliant move, because she wasn't part of the group. So it wasn't protected under any sort of religious right or First Amendment speech thing. It was, you're harassing the shit out of me, and I am not part of that group. So that whole thing flies out the window. And Miscavige was so terrified of getting into Discovery, he sent all kinds of fucking super expensive lawyers to try to make sure he didn't have to testify. And then they finally stopped harassing them. But like 5 fucking years of people harassing you. And they had a little kid. Like that would just, I can't even fathom the amount of anger I would have at that. Ugh.
Yeah. No, it's horrible.
So it's horrible. Yeah. At some point before we close, we do have to talk about Tom Cruise, but please go.
I'll get there. I'm very close on this. So basically what happens is these guys all leave. Like we mentioned, they all leave. Jason Peggy leaves, and then he goes to them and is like, what the fuck, guys? We have to do something about this. And they do. And as a result, their wives are called up. They make an appearance on Anderson Cooper. They talk about what happened to them. Their wives get called up, and their wives are like, they're all assholes, and they abused me. He abused me. He's full of shit. David Miscavige never hit him, but he hit me. Like, just the most outrageous lies that they could come up with. Absolutely smeared their names. When we talk about like the websites that were put up about them, accused them of everything from spousal abuse to child molestation.
Yep.
Just really horrible shit. They were stalked, they were harassed, they were abused. And in Mike Rinder's case, he was completely cut off from his children. And the reason I wanted to talk about him is because over and over again on this show, we see people who are in these higher echelons, and when it falls apart or when they leave, all they care about is what happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of really bad shit happened to Mike Rinder. Like a lot. Like we went through it just now. Like a lot of bad shit happened to him. Mm-hmm. What Mike Rinder did is Marty Rathburn had a blog also. He had a blog. They went after Scientology. They published everything they could to discredit Scientology. Mike Rinder paired up with Leah Remini, and they did 3 seasons of a show on A&E where most of it was talking to your everyday members, not celebrities, but everyday people who were victimized by Scientology. They showed the abuse. They showed the issues with disconnection on regular everyday people, because a lot of people think the only people involved in Scientology are celebrities.
Super rich people,
right? He, sorry, I have it here. He co-founded the Aftermath Foundation, a nonprofit which helps people escape Scientology and connects former Sea Org members with housing, work, and other support upon leaving the church. He was a board member. After his death, they unanimously agreed to change the name to the Michael J. Rinder Aftermath Foundation. In 2019, Child USA awarded Rinder and Leah Remini the Barbara Blaine Trailblazer Award for having taken brave public stand for justice and giving voice to many of Scientology's victims. He also sat on their board of directors, where he helped to change the laws in numerous states across the U.S. with legislation enacted to make it possible for victims to pursue their day in court. He spent every day trying to help undo damage that he did.
Mm-hmm.
He spent every day trying to help people get out and have a good life. And he did that knowing that every single thing that he did pulled his children further from him. When his son was in the same city as him, dying of cancer, he tried to visit him in the hospital and he was refused. They did everything they could to destroy him. And he fought until he himself died earlier this year. And I just think it's important to point out that it is in fact possible. As much as what's her nuts, Nancy from fucking Nexium would love you to believe otherwise, it is in fact possible to take the things that happen to you, acknowledge them, and then say, but I did bad shit too, and I need to do something about that.
Yeah. And I need to help
Really
folks make sure they don't do that too.
And it is actually like, it's a great loss to have somebody who was doing so much work and trying to make a difference. And the things that he was doing will also help people in other cults because now the framework is there, right?
Yep.
And I just think it's super important to remember that. And Marty Rathburn as well, but he wasn't as public. I don't know as much about him. So I'm not taking anything away from the work he's done. But Mike Rinder, unfortunately, did pass away earlier this year. It was a news item, I think, that we did in January or February. And I think that we should acknowledge that good that he did. And like I said, he was living in the hole with Marty Rathburn, Tom, and these other people in Hemet, which is right down the street from where I used to live. My brother and I drove through there. It is the weirdest fucking place you've ever been in your life, Doug. Because it's in public. It's not like a compound that's like gated off. There are parts like their property is gated off, but they're on like a highway, right? And it is very weirdly in like this no man's land of jurisdiction, which I happen to believe is super on purpose.
Right.
So you don't have like they're between two counties and between two towns where they're located. And as you drive through, you see this beautiful church building and all these beautiful rolling hills where they film stuff. And then you see like these barracks where they live. And it looks like absolute, like the worst fucking living situation you've ever seen in your life. That's not the whole, because those are trailers. These are like barracks, like where the people who work there live, I guess. Who knows? And while we were there, we saw the weirdest fucking thing. And it's like, it haunts me because we don't know what we saw. It's one of those things, right? Where you're like, maybe this was normal and okay. Maybe we saw something really bad happen. There was somebody in a car pulled over and somebody in security uniform was searching their car. And they were like on their way out. Like we were pulling in to the area to look and take pictures, and they were like going out toward the highway. And we were just like, what the fuck? Like, is that person trying to leave?
Yeah, maybe.
Is this normal? Is it okay? The other thing that was super weird about it is it was dead fucking silent. You would have thought nobody was there. Now, granted, there might not have been, because as we find out in the documentary, like Scientology's membership is tanking. So maybe there wasn't anybody there. I don't know. But
yeah. Well, there's a lot. And Mike Rinder and Rathburn, those folks too specifically really deserve some kudos for being like, well, this is fucked up. We're gonna do as much as we can to kind of take this down a bit. So good on them. But we'd be remiss. There's two celebrity things I want to talk about, but the first one is Tom Cruise, because Tom Cruise is John Travolta was the poster child for Scientology until Tom Cruise came along.
Yeah.
And then what I find interesting is how he started getting interested in Nicole Kidman on Days of Thunder set. And they were a little worried about that because Nicole Kidman wasn't a Scientologist. And So when he and Nicole Kidman were together, he kind of not distanced himself, kind of was like more involved with Nicole and doing his thing. And there's one thing where apparently he and Nicole Kidman were gone for a year, like sequestered for a year, filming Eyes Wide Shut. I feel like that's a short stint because Eyes Wide Shut, I think, took like 3 years to film. For some reason, that took them.
Like,
so that drove Miscavige nuts. So like he was like having like a lot of auditing sessions for Tom Cruise to try and of course it was Rathbun who was the main dude that was like, I am gonna fuck your life up through these auditing sessions. So he just pulled as much as he could out of Cruise and basically discredited Kidman to the point that Tom Cruise said, I want to wiretap her phones. And
yeah.
And he told he told this to Miscavige, and Miscavige's like, fucking do it. So they wiretapped Nicole Kidman's phones, which is illegal as fuck. Makes pay taxes. I couldn't agree more. Make all of them pay taxes. But anyway, the idea that he had Miscavige is like, please tap Nicole Kidman's phone. Like, Jesus Christ. Like,
yeah, I thought it was funny that Rathbun said he pitched it, like he didn't even pitch it, he said it.
He kind of jokingly said it.
And he was like, do it. And he was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll do it.
Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah. So obviously Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise end up divorcing. But the other person I want to talk about in Scientology is one who was not mentioned in the documentary because the documentary was made in like 2015. Danny Masterson.
God, I forgot about
that. That motherfucker was a Scientologist and had all the resources of Scientology at his disposal. And he is in jail for 30 years for rape because he did some awful heinous shit to this woman and claimed it was consensual. And she was like, no, was not. And I find it interesting that despite all the money that Scientology had to throw at his defense, they didn't throw a lot of money at his defense.
Mm-mm.
They kind of fucked him over, like, fuck you.
I don't think that he was worth as much to them. I think, so here's the thing you have to remember is that Tom Cruise at the time that he was, with Nicole Kidman was like stratospheric movie star. That's
also you're using stratospheric, and David Miscavige said that in one of the
oh well.
Maybe that's what's sticking to your head.
Maybe, but like, you know what I mean? Like he was beyond famous.
He's still beyond famous.
I mean, he is still, but like, his like shine is off a little bit, mostly because of Scientology, but like, which is ironic, but whatever. But like, he was such a huge deal. And like when has Danny Masterson been anywhere close to as big a deal?
Just that 70s show, and that's it.
Yeah. And so I think that's part of it. I think that like, it's about what people are worth to them. And I do think that the shit they talk about having done for Tom Cruise is a little weird, even for as famous as he was. And I think there's something super fucking strange about his relationship with David Miscavige.
Yeah. There's also a couple other things to talk about. The music video. We Stand Tall.
That was super weird too.
It was like the worst version of We Are the World. It was so bad.
It was real bad. But what I mean is like, they're talking about like Tom Cruise wanted to run through a meadow with Nicole Kidman. So they made him a meadow, and Tom Cruise wanted a girlfriend. So they tricked this girl who's like a med student into a makeover and all this shit. She thinks is going to be for some humanitarian effort. And then they just like kind of drop her off with Tom Cruise. And they're like, no, you're going to be his girlfriend. And I believe that.
No, I do too. 100%.
Like I believe that his thing with Katie
Holmes.
Yeah. Katie Holmes was like, an arrangement via prenup, whatever. Like, I do believe that. And it's super weird. It's super weird that anybody in Scientology is getting whatever they want other than David Miscavige, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, Cruz is just this weird outlier, and I feel like the other thing was like there was that little video of him with the black turtleneck where he just sounded utterly nuts,
Yeah.
like utterly nuts. And I had forgotten about that because the only thing I remembered from that time frame was him jumping on the couch for Oprah.
Yeah.
It was that was just like, and you could like him being like, "Oh yeah, Katie Holmes, woo!" And I'm like, "Okay, you're like fucking 20 years older than Katie Holmes." Like that always struck me as creepy. You and I have talked before. I have age gap issues. I think age gap issues are really problematic. Does that mean that people can't make it work? No, but like Tom Cruise is a super famous guy. Katie Holmes was minorly famous because of
Yeah.
Dawson's Creek. She was not at Tom Cruise's level. And
Well, and then there's this whole involvement with Scientology that makes things super weird. It does.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's just, and I think like I just like all of it's super weird. It's all super fucking weird. I cannot like I can't rectify that with like I can't make it make sense the
right.
way that he gets treated. I don't I know that the celebrities get a different experience of Scientology than everybody else. I understand that. They're not getting what Tom Cruise gets. Tom Cruise got a made up award to make himself feel special.
Yep.
Like that's not normal.
All right.
That's
So
not what everybody gets. Like, you know.
can I just can I posit a question to you about that
Sure.
for that particular award? All right. So there was a lot of talk about Tom Cruise trying to be David Miscavige, which I think is ludicrous. I think it's the other way around.
Yes.
Do you think that award? All right. How do I say this without sounding like a fucking doofus? The idea that I think Miscavige really, really was enamored with Tom Cruise in a way that was more than just he can do more for Scientology.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Latent homosexuality is the term that's kind of coming to my brain, and that maybe isn't the right word, phrasing, whatever.
I don't
I
know
just,
that it's that. I think it could be that. I
I
don't
think,
know. I don't I've had people who have reason to know tell me some really fucking crazy shit about Tom Cruise, and I don't know if they're telling the truth or not. But then why does he want women all the time? I don't fucking know. Number 1. Number 2, I do think that it's possible that it's some kind of weird single white female obsession thing too.
I could totally see that.
Because he's
The
a
idea,
megalomaniac. David Miscavige is. He's a megalomaniac. He wants to be the center of attention. He wants to have all the power. He wants all the attention. And then here's this guy, and he's, you know, more famous and better looking and has more money and blah, 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 blah. Tom Cruise was never going to be the next fucking leader of Scientology because he doesn't have the time or the knowledge or the anything to be the next leader of Scientology. That's insane.
yeah,
Because again, the celebrities don't get the same experience. They don't fucking know what's going on.
they can just stroll in, be like, hey, everybody, this is great. Everybody's lauding me. This is fantastic. And then they can stroll out and it's all the same. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, he is very
Eric,
narcissistic.
yeah.
Eric, that is very much the accurate assessment of David. Yes, for sure.
And so it's like, I think like you have something that I don't have and I want it.
Yeah. And I
And
feel
to me,
like, yeah, but I feel like it's almost like a fuck, what was the movie with Jude Law and was it Matt Damon?
Talented Mr. Ripley.
Talented Mr. Ripley. That's what it reminds me a bit of. That
Yeah.
sort of vibe of like, I want your life. And the idea that like Miscavige was like, hey, I'm gonna skydive with you. and I'm going to do this with you, and I'm going to do this with you. The other thing is, it reminds me of Lentz from Hillsong. I'm going to do all this weird stuff with you, and just cool, and I'm going to have all these celebrity friends and all this.
Well,
It's different. It's a little different because Lentz was very popular, whereas I don't think Miscavige is as popular as Lentz was.
well, because I think like if you're the leader of Scientology, you are the most popular Scientologist, theoretically, or you can tell yourself that when you go to bed at night. But if you're Tom Cruise, you're a celebrity, and like especially at the height of his fame, at the height of his career, everybody loves you. Everybody wants to hang out with you. You have so much money. All the girls are so like, all the attention is, it's like, of all of the people in the world that Rosie O'Donnell could have chosen to be her beard, she chose Tom Cruise, because who in the world was ever going to say, no, you don't have a crush on Tom Cruise?
My wife hates him.
No, but I mean, no one was going to say, like, if you said, I have a crush on Tom Cruise, no one was going to be like, no, you don't.
Yeah, that's true. No, my wife fucking hates him with the passion of 1,000 suns. It's kind of funny. So.
But I think that's what I mean now is like the shine is coming off Tom Cruise and has for a long time. I would say that what turned me kind of more tolerant of Tom Cruise again was Tropic Thunder.
I think was it Magnolia? Where he played Magnolia, he plays this like self-help guru, but it's almost like an incel self-help guru. He's really funny at it, like really funny and really good at it. When I haven't seen Tropic Thunder. I know mea culpa, but
well, here's the thing. It's one of my favorite movies. Fucking don't at me. If you don't get it, I don't want to talk to you about it. It's one of my favorite movies, but here's the thing. They didn't say he was going to be in it. They didn't promote it at all. And if you're not paying close attention, you don't know it's him. The first time I saw it, because he's in the craziest makeup, he looks old and ugly and like just bleh, right? And He plays a really detestable character. So, or I don't know.
Which he does in Magnolia too. His character in Magnolia is super detestable.
And his name is literally Les Grossman.
Okay.
He's got a big beer belly and a comb over and like big Coke bottle glasses. And he's like this like nasty, gross agent type, or not agent, producer type, Hollywood executive. Anyway, you're watching the movie and like at a certain point, he's been on the screen enough and talked enough that all of a sudden you're like, oh, fuck, that's Tom Cruise. And then at the end, he has this like really funny bit. And I was like, okay, like he can make fun of himself. I can get on board with that. But I've just never been able to take him seriously ever again. And since the black turtleneck thing, ever since he went all in on Scientology, it's been very hard to take him seriously.
Yeah. What a comment. Awesome. Eric, that was a great comment. The funniest thing of Tom Cruise for me is I'm not on Twitter anymore, but when he was on Twitter, his Twitter profile says, I run in movies. And that was his line. Like it was Tom Cruise or whatever. And it's I run in movies because he runs in every movie he's in almost. But it's just super funny because, I will say I love the Mission Impossible movies, except that last Mission Impossible movie was fucking terrible, and it makes me angry because all the Mission Impossible movies were good up until that point.
But I think I only saw the first two.
Yeah, I will say he is in one of my absolute favorite sci-fi movies. It's The Edge of Tomorrow. And Edge of Tomorrow, have you ever seen Edge of Tomorrow?
I don't think I have.
With Emily Blunt. That is a fucking nominal sci-fi movie, and he is super funny in it. Subtly super funny. You know what I mean? Like he's not he's not Jim Carrey. He just does really subtly funny stuff in that movie. And it is one of the most underrated sci-fi movies I've ever I've ever seen.
I say, like, I grew up with my stepdad was obsessed with fucking Days of Thunder. I like to this day, you know, I'm married to a fucking Englishman, right?
Oh, that's fair.
We're in traffic the other day, and I just like I'm like rubbing his race and expecting him to know what the fuck that means, right? I don't know if he's even seen Days of Thunder, but I saw Days of Thunder probably once a week growing up. Rubbing his racing. But I think my favorite, well, guess, what do you think my favorite is, knowing what you know about me?
Well,
my history, my bio.
Your favorite Tom Cruise movie?
It's so obvious.
I'm going to give you Cocktail.
Because of these? Oh, wrong. My hands. No.
No, I just, not because you're boobs, but you.
Not my boobs, my tattoo.
Sorry, you're just like, wee. Sorry, I'm.
That's what you wrote. Like,
I've had 2 giant cocktails, so forgive me on that.
I have my cocktail plus tattoos, but.
All right, so.
No.
I'm going to say Cocktail because it's like this weird sort of cult classic sort of vibe.
No, A Few Good Men.
Oh, that's a great movie. And it's a great movie with him in it.
Yeah.
You know what? You know who's absolutely stunning in that movie, and he's in it for a few scenes. It's Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
You're a lousy softball player, Jack.
Do you know originally when I joined?
That's one of my favorite lines for that movie.
I went to college with the intention of becoming a lawyer until I met so many people who used to be lawyers.
You met lawyers.
You're like, no, people who used to be lawyers. I know so many people who used to be lawyers, and that's who you need to talk about. The people who quit. A lot of people quit. But anyway, my original plan joining the Marines was to be a JAG.
Oh, okay.
You get a lot of, like, it's one of the places like you're guaranteed to get courtroom experience. Anyway, Few Good Men. But there's a few that I really liked, I think, back in the day. But Few Good Men I would stand by as like a quality movie. I like the scene that they're like eating takeout when he's in law school or whatever. Like there's all these like memorable scenes. And then, the scene that everybody fucking gets wrong about Jack Nicholson's famous scene. It's like you're not supposed to be on his side there, guys.
Yeah.
He's still wrong.
Yeah. So to me, that movie is sacrosanct in a lot of different ways. As A Few Good Men is the idea that Demi Moore is super bad at that movie, like not acting well. Kevin Pollak is acting his ass off in whatever little scenes he has, and there's just like I don't. Now the problem is it's Demi Moore, and that raspy voice is gonna fucking just yank my heart out every time because that's just a great voice. But like just Kevin Pollak being like, "I choose you every day and twice on Sunday." I say that more times than I can count. It's just the idea of like, I'll choose that every day and twice on Sunday. And I will say that all the time because it applies to a million things. And it's such a good thing. And Tom Cruise is really good in Top Gun. He's way better in the sequel with Miles Teller.
Really? I haven't seen the sequel. I was like, Air Force Recruitment app.
No, watch that and watch it with fucking surround sound. Like it's just the sound of it. If you watch Top Gun and surround, the surround is just like it just blows you away because just like the sound effects in the 80s or 90s or whatever the fuck it was.
Fair.
That's so fucking crazy good. And now they are able to do it even better. But Tom Cruise playing like the kind of grizzled fucking instructor. I don't know how to explain how good that is.
I love Val Kilmer so much more than Tom Cruise.
He was so good in that too.
Yeah.
But he was in a very short bit, but because Val Kilmer was like dying.
Away. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was dying at that point from cancer but they played that in the movie just be like, fuck, he's dying. And he's just like talking like I don't even know if he's talking about like a voice assist or whatever. But like Tom Cruise is extraordinarily good in that. Miles Teller is okay. Tom Cruise is superb in that particular thing. So like
it's super weird. Like we went in, it's like, fuck Tom Cruise. And it's like, but you know what? Got to give him props. He is a good actor. He really is.
He's a good in a handful of things. He's good in a handful of things. Edge of Tomorrow, I will vouch for that movie till I die. That movie is
I think the issue with Tom Cruise is that he is a good actor, but he did a lot of bad movies.
That's a very fair assessment. Cocktail, I love, but here's the thing. I love Cocktail because Elizabeth Shue is in it, and one of my favorite underrated actresses is Gina Gershon.
I think I need to revisit Cocktail because I think you're right in that I probably would love it. I mean, it's fucking like Roadhouse is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Then Cocktail's right in that same bucket. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, like one of these days, we're going to have to do like a bonus episode where I just talk about Roadhouse.
Dude, I'm down. Let's do that.
Yes. Because it's a very special. I refuse to watch the new one. People have said, "Oh, it's good." Like
I'm not watching it either. Fuck that.
It's separated. This is a different movie. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what it is.
It could be great. I'm not ever watching it.
Name out of your fucking mouth, Jake Gyllenhaal. You're not Swayze. You're not my real dad. Get out of here.
We need to do a handful of episodes on this stream where it's like, hey, we're going to do cult classics. It's going to be classic things for us, just us. And we'll do Roadhouse first.
Yeah. I have a Roadhouse tattoo. That's how serious I am.
Really?
Yes. I thought you knew this.
How do I not know this?
I have a pinup. I can't show you because I'm wearing pants. I have a pinup of Doc that says "Pain Don't Hurt" on my injured leg.
Interesting. Is it injured because of tattoos or just injured because yes?
No, it's the leg that I fucked up in the military.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now we have alternate things going in this stream. So next month we're going to be talking about another cult, and then after that I think we need to figure out if we're going to do another X-Files episode or if we're going to do cult classics. Because I think this gives us some avenues to go a fucking bunch of different directions. Because I have cult classics for me. Like, I watched one recently, and I'm not sure it's a cult classic for you.
Oh, which one?
It is Jacob's Ladder.
Oh, right. We talked about this because I don't think I've ever seen it, or if I have, it's been so long I don't remember it.
Okay, so, all right, we do Roadhouse, and then whenever we get to it, it's Jacob's Ladder, and we take it from the perspective of I've watched it 5 or 6 times.
Like
I've watched it never, and that'll be great. And it's young Tim Robbins, like really young Tim Robbins.
Or we can do, it's a 2-hour show. I'll just recite Roadhouse. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I could.
Hey,
I don't think it'd be worth it. I don't think I won't do that.
It would be funny if we just were like, we're going to recite the entire dialogue of Roadhouse. Go. I'm just going to say,
I'm going to reenact the fights.
Brad Wesley, man, one of the goofiest villains ever.
That movie. That's what's so. That movie is so fucking unhinged.
Yeah.
Everything about it is batshit crazy. I love it so much. Anyway.
Yeah.
Your final thoughts on Scientology. We get 6 minutes left. We fucking went so far afield.
That's okay. Go watch the Going Clear if you want to see some really wackadoodle shit. So yeah, let's talk a bit about. So I don't have a graphic for it, but
real quick, wait, I want to talk about some additional materials for anybody who's interested in learning more. There is actually the book Going Clear, which came before the documentary. It's fantastic. Yep. I mentioned the Leah Remini series with Mike Render. It's great. My Scientology movie, not as good as Going Clear, but pretty interesting. And then I believe you can still access Mike Render and Marty Rathburn's blogs. So check them out. And then if you're in our Facebook group, I am going to publish those pictures in there as soon as I dig them out of my 10 million photos in my computer. They're not like, like I said, it's not like fucking David Miscavige. We didn't find Shelley Miscavige, right? We didn't find her. She's not there. But it's interesting.
That would be
It was
funny.
interesting to us. So, yeah.
That'd be funny if you found Shelley Miscavige, but
that'd be hilarious. I was in Lake Arrowhead a few years ago. I didn't see her. That is the last place anybody saw her, though.
All right. So please go check those resources out. Next month, we are going to be doing the starvation cults in Kenya, which was, goodness, it was the Shohaka incident. Now we have to look at it because like I said, I was bad and I didn't do anything where I was like, hey, I'm going to look up this stuff and do all my research. And I did the research because we're going to be referencing So we are going to be talking about I found the move.
It's
a Shakahola massacre. So there's a BBC doc that is part of it, and we're also going to be doing something from the podcast called Heart Starts Pounding, which Kayla Moore is a person who does that. If you've not followed her podcast, please do, because she does a lot of stuff. Hold on. Yeah, I am a giant Halo nerd, so sorry. I have Master Chief. I have a Master Chief thing, and then I have a Master Chief pillow. That's a pillow.
Oh, a waifu? No.
But the idea of Heart Start Pounding does, like, they do true crime, they do like haunted shit, like they've done like serialized fiction. I can't recommend that podcast enough.
Well, and if you've been with us for a while, you might be thinking this sounds familiar, and that is because we did talk about this in our news segment a couple of times.
Yeah. So anyway, starvation cult in Kenya.
What about that guy, Jim Jones? We actually did 3 episodes on Jonestown.
Yeah, we did.
So dig through our past episodes, Eric. You'll find it. We did 3 different documentaries, and it was intense, and it was a lot, and it was depressing. So we will not fucking do another one.
No, and we still haven't touched Heaven's Gate yet, but at some point we're going to have to do that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so Jonestown was pretty fucking depressing. All Jonestown out. I think like that's the book is closed on that one for me. And the last time I researched Heaven's Gate, I burst into tears on my way to get breakfast. I was listening to a podcast about it when it happened. It's like not just randomly, but so yeah, like I'm not looking forward to it per se, but we'll have to schedule that one at a time where like I've got time to be upset.
Yeah, for sure. So in our group, in our Facebook group, I will post those links for the podcast and the YouTube thing. The YouTube thing is about 25 to 30 minutes long. The podcast is like an hour and a half. So the podcast is a little more in depth. That person, Kayla Moore, does an excellent job of researching stuff and just being super deep dive on stuff. I really think that will be really interesting because it's going to be sad because there's a lot of people who fucking died from that. So, yeah. So anyway, please check that out. Renee, anything else before we call it an evening?
Speaking of cult classics, go over to dirgemagazine.com and check out my article on Bordello of Blood, because I'm going to be doing a follow-up on that about child actors.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. And child actors would be super interesting. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Eric, thanks for jumping in and commenting. And we'll talk to you folks later. And cheers.
Bye.